down. But there's panic on the streets of Carlisle, Dublin, Dundee, Humberside. I wonder to myself, burn down the disco, hang the blessed DJ, because the music that they constantly play, it says nothing to me about my life. Hang the blessed DJ, because the music they constantly play. On the lead side streets which are slid down, the provincial towns you jog round. Hang the DJ, 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 hang the DJ,
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Don't panic. We're here. You didn't want me to make that joke, did you?
It's okay. It just means that we've just got to up it now.
Yeah, obviously.
So, okay, we're waiting for... Adia is obviously on her way, fashionably late.
Not sure it is fashionably
At
late,
this point,
really.
yeah.
So
It's-
we're going to start off with something that she's definitely not interested in,
Yeah, exactly.
as we seem to do most weeks.
Yes. It's something probably you're not even interested in, are you?
It's not particularly, but it's an interesting thing. But it's about South Park, and I don't really watch South Park, but I know how much you love it.
It's more about the story
Exactly,
behind
yeah.
it, which I think was quite cool. So yeah, basically the pilot of South Park, which has now run for 17 seasons, so it's quite popular. I think I can
think say that.
conservatively, it's quite popular, and yeah. So this show that's been on since like the mid 90s, something like that. Anyway, it's like it's coming up. If when people were talking about how The Simpsons had been on for 17 seasons, people were in awe of that. And obviously now it's been on for like 26 now, which is just getting crazy. But I think South Park should deserve some credit for sticking it out for so long. Anyway, it nearly didn't happen because the pilot was screened to like a focus group, as these things often are, and they made 3 people in that focus group cry, and I think the average mark out of 10 given by the audience was 1.
They didn't get more than 3, did they?
No.
No one gave more than 3 out of 10. Yeah, I think that's hilarious that 3 people cried.
You don't think it's hilarious?
No, I said I think it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit crazy, but I don't know. What does that tell you about focus groups?
Well, they're clearly not very effective.
No. I've seen the pilot quite like a couple of times. I quite like it. It's called Cartman Gets an Anal Probe.
Oh, well, that's quite like brave for a pilot, perhaps.
Yeah, I love the way they make South Park, and just everything about it is so cool. Because you know how they made a documentary called 6 Days to Air, which is literally how much time they have.
Oh.
Which is why they're able to like reference stuff really quickly. Like their first episode after Barack Obama, like literally they produced an episode about Barack Obama being voted president in that time, in less than 6 days.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think they did the whole first season, or at least they certainly did the pilot by hand. They would just cut out these little cartoon characters and literally stop motion move them around.
Yeah.
So that must have been painstaking. But now they do it all in computers, and that's the only reason I think they can do it. They can
That
do it in
quickly.
6 days. Yeah.
Mm. So yeah, I think. I mean, you wonder who they chose for this focus group. They knew the sort of material they were going to be showing.
When you read it back, I mean, you could sort of understand. So, the people who cried said it was inappropriate for children to say those kinds of things. Matt and Trey asked how it went. They're the people who made South Park. And this guy said, I think he's a producer or something. Producer Brian Graydon said, I've never seen a worse focus group and thought, well, this show isn't going to be the next year of my life. A child dies in the first episode. And obviously, like, when there's only one episode, you don't realise that that's going to become like a recurring joke for the whole TV show. So
I actually know about the recurring joke.
What, when Kenny dies all the time? Yeah.
That's possibly one of the only things I know.
Yes. He doesn't die anymore.
Oh.
They stop that fairly early on.
That's a shame.
Because what they do that I quite like is when they're bored of something, they just stop doing it. So the best example was tragically my favourite character in the whole show, who's Dr. I think he's called Dr. Mephisto, and he does experiments on he's like a genetic engineer or something like that, and he uses his scientific knowledge to just create disgusting things. They're all like animals, normal animals, but they've got multiple asses. And he enters a 7-assed Galapagos turtle into the Nobel Prize.
Oh my goodness.
And he just comes out with, he's got some of the best lines ever. And if you like look up just find the episodes and watch the ones with him in, because they're all hilarious. He's the head of the North American Marlon Brando Lookalikes Association. Because he's based on Marlon Brando's character from this film that was absolutely atrocious.
Right.
Or it certainly looks it. It's called like he's again like a genetic scientist on an island, and he creates all these like horrendous animals and monsters and stuff. And that's the character. That's the person that the South Park character is based on. But literally one day they just said, we're bored of making these jokes, so we're just gonna not write him anymore. Yeah.
Sad if that was your favourite character.
He was my favourite character.
But at least they don't feel obliged to continue with the same.
Yeah, for my sake.
For your sake, yeah.
So, yeah. But I think that's, like, really admirable when you get to a point where it's just like, I don't care what Miles thinks, or anyone.
But you still love it, even after your favourite character's gone, or has it ruined it?
Well, South Park, I don't know if I love South Park, but I think that there are some episodes of South Park where they're just the funniest things I've ever seen. And then there's also a lot of South Park episodes where I'm like, ugh, it's just not funny. A lot. I do get that quite a few times. Because obviously if you produce something in 6 days, it's going to be, the quality's going to suffer from time to time. But then you also get that lightning in a bottle effect as well, where you produce something over such a short space of time that it's amazing. I mean, this show takes hours and hours of preparation, so we'll never know what that's like. But
yeah, totally.
We prepare so thoroughly, research everything so well. And what should we talk about
next?
We can talk about this because Addy will not have a start at the stomach for this. So yeah, basically, a guy in America tried to file a suit or basically complained to Mountain Dew, which I'm gonna say in the
Mountain
American.
Dew.
I'm gonna say it in the American way.
Yeah.
Because Mountain Dew
nice.
just doesn't sound right, does it? It has to be said in a hick kind of way. So Mountain
Dew.
So yeah, he was drinking some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he said that he found a mouse in it, so he complained to the company, and the company won their whatever it was, like suit or whatever. Yeah, it's a lawsuit. So basically Mountain Dew won their lawsuit because they said that all the mouse's structures would have disintegrated to the point that it would not be recognizable within 30 days. Within 30 days. And PepsiCo, who own Mountain Dew, have said that the guy opened his can of Mountain Dew 74 days after it was bottled. So
the mouse would have been transformed into a jelly-like substance by then.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been recognisable as a mouse. It would just be a disgusting, acidified mass of vermin.
That's just gross, isn't it?
Particles.
Oh, well, I mean, at least they have that as a defence. But that just really doesn't encourage you to want to drink Mountain Dew, really.
No, but then I think if you left a mouse in anything for 30 days,
it would
you'd get a disgusting outcome.
Yeah, but I think you get a disgusting outcome. But I think especially in this sort of drink. Yeah. Ugh.
It's pretty gross. Yeah. So this guy Ronald Ball, he was a veterinarian noted that he was familiar with the effects an acidic fluids such as common soda drinks, including Mountain Dew, will have on mice and other animals. So it's a vet who's saying. It's the vet who spoke out on behalf of Mountain Dew. So it will have no calcium in its bones and bony structures. The mouse's abdominal structure will rupture. Its cranial cavity, which they've helpfully put in brackets, is the head, is also likely to rupture within that time period. Oh, man. The only part of the rodent that could possibly survive was a portion of the tail.
That's just awful.
Oh, man. Yeah.
This is a really nice way to start Tuesday.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, imagine if Addie was here. I think she'd leave the room.
Yeah.
The pH level of Mountain Dew was... of his specific can was 3.43. Which is apparently within the normal range of Mountain Dew.
Very acidic.
But 3.43 is incredibly acidic.
Yeah. It is.
Like, I think... I'm trying to recall some...
pH 7 is
neutral.
Yeah.
GCSE chemistry. I think that hydrochloric and sulfuric are like 1 and 2. Or 1... They're in that kind of ballpark.
Yeah. Not that much more acidic than this, basically.
Yeah. Although I think they go up by powers of 10, so like 1 is like 10 times more or whatever the thing is. But yeah, 3.43 is quite... Let's find out what is that... What else is that acidic?
What? pH.
So we can like sort of compare what...
Yeah, okay. I think the colour also just puts me off. It's so bright.
Yeah. So... Oh. There's a scale.
Okay, so...
Yeah, tomato juice,
soda.
grapefruit juice is within the range.
That's why you should drink things through a straw to stop your teeth from dissolving.
Oh god, it's annoying though. Like when we were in the restaurant, we had this customer who insisted on having a straw, and she kept like nagging for one, and I just didn't bring it to her in time, and she like left. Didn't have it.
Well.
And I was like, right, well.
Well, yeah. Our flatmate uses a straw for all juice drinking, because.
Who, Andrea?
No, Lauren.
Lauren.
Because she was warned by her dentist.
Fair enough. It's the sensible thing to do, but I don't know. It's just I just can't be bothered.
No, that's fine. Anyway.
Yeah.
Should we move on from this?
Hydrochloric acid is pH 0 apparently, and lemon juice and vinegar is pH 2.
Yeah.
So those really aren't good.
Very acidic.
For your teeth, if you're worried about acid erosion.
Which we all should be, really.
Which we all should be. It's the silent killer.
Yeah, if Mountain Dew can dissolve a mouse,
yeah.
you can certainly dissolve your teeth.
That's what we're learning.
And that's their slogan.
Yeah. We could talk about this, which is so basically Burma or Myanmar I think is what they probably. I don't know that. I don't know what's PC to say, or if it's even un-PC to say Burma. Let's go with Burma. Anyway, they have built they've like built a capital city from nothing. Kind of like, you know how we were talking about model towns the other week?
Yes, Facebook.
Yeah, they've just built a purpose-built capital city with 20-lane highways and like government buildings and stuff, but no one lives there yet.
Yet. Are they going to move people from where?
I don't know. It's 6 times the size of New York City. Yeah, 20 lanes of traffic. But they've got reliable electricity. Many of the restaurants have free, fast Wi-Fi.
The only thing it doesn't have is people.
Yes, that's the line.
How?
That's what the tourist board of this place are saying. What's it even called? No. Look up Burma capital, and you'll find it. It's Nay Piedor. And that's the only time we're gonna say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the guy who's written this article describes it as post-apocalypse suburban America, or a David Lynch film on location in North Korea. So yes, it's rumored to have cost $4 billion to construct, which is a lot. And yes.
And why did they decide to do this? Do we know?
I don't know. Hopefully we'll.
Because they already have a capital.
What's their?
I can't remember the name. But I just like for what purpose would they need to build a, and also would 20-lane highways ever be necessary?
No. Probably not. Well, there's 5 on either. Wait, no, it's not 5 on either. It's 10 on either side. Yeah, there's no way. Because when I lived in Moscow, they had the equivalent of the M25, but it went through the heart of the city. So imagine like the M25 just going through Oxford Street or something like that.
Yeah.
And we used to live right above it, and that had 10 lanes of traffic, maybe a bit more. But this is going through a city of 20 million people almost.
Not a city of no people.
Yeah, a city described as not very interesting. Most people. So there's a guy. So the Guardian have just gone and spoken to a man who is sitting in the shopping mall where he works, and he's just said it's not very interesting here. Most people are not that happy. They're just living here because they can earn money, because they can work here. Well, I suppose that's kind of true of everywhere, Mr. Mall Man.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be uninteresting, or you don't have to not be happy.
Oh, was reference to a panopticon there.
A panopticon? Where's that?
There, just everything relates back to Jeremy Bentham. Are you going to ask what a panopticon is?
Sadly, yes.
Goodness. Is Addy here yet? Oh.
I don't think I can get in. You're going to have to open the door. Okay. Do you want to...
I'll go, it's fine.
You go.
Once I untangle my feet from these wires.
Okay, you're away. I'm going to... We don't want dead air, so...
No, keep talking.
I'll tell you about my day yesterday. Yeah, so what I'm looking at, you should find this article. It's on The Guardian. It's called Burma's Bizarre Capital, a supersized slice of post-apocalypse suburbia. Here we go, the back.
She was trying to open it with her card.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't get in like that. We're sorry.
Just like any random student card. No, you have to be specially approved.
Which mic is that? That's mic 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm putting on mic 3 as well now, so that will come through.
Cool.
Addy might have to go on that side.
I was like, I swear this is the right place. I've not got it wrong. It's like, this is so confusing. Yeah, you have to. I mean, you struggled for a while to work the system to get approved to.
Yeah. Well, it's because I was being a complete.
You were. Addy, it's over here.
Yeah, I was being a mug. Here we go. So that it's basically a political. I think the motive is political. So they have. It's been described by some as a vanity project of Fan Shui, the former military leader of the country. Many believe the audacious name given to the city, which you'll just have to remember how I tried to say it before, because I'm not going to give it another go. It's saying that that's illusions of grandeur, or perhaps another sign of Shui's possible dementia. And that was according to a diplomatic cable, so thank you for that one, WikiLeaks.
The government building has a moat around it.
A motor?
A moat.
A moat around it. Oh yeah, well you need a moat.
Yeah.
Don't you, in this day and age?
Yeah, of course. Well.
And yeah, so this place is basically kind of a government headquarters, and they've withdrawn themselves from the major city Rangoon, and Fan Shui and the leadership have sheltered themselves from any popular uprising. Really? Because if there is a popular uprising, they can get there on any of the 20 lanes of traffic.
It's really difficult to block that all up, isn't it?
Yeah. Although the moat and the imposing metal gates...
The moat, that's what the
That's where it will fall down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so... Do you know anything about this?
No, I just realised what article you were talking about. No, but I thought it was really interesting. Is this Burma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just having a look.
Oh yeah, okay. So the capital.
Yeah, it's like they've
The
built...
brand new capital.
Purpose built it, and no
Yeah.
one lives there, so it's just like a bit of a joke. They're saying
Yeah.
that it looks nice on the outside.
Yeah.
Like someone's quoted, I just feel so
Wi-Fi
awkward
everywhere.
here.
I feel awkward.
I just feel so awkward here.
I don't know if awkward's the right word. Like in Ghost Town, I feel really awkward.
Yeah. That's funny.
Ghost towns are super awkward.
Just didn't know what to do.
Well, it's worth a visit if you want the best roads in the country. And other than that, the hotels are weird. It's awkward.
Yeah, it's like 1 million people in a size, and the size is 6 times of New York, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
massive. So yeah, 6 times what New York is. I guess New York is kind of small. Oh wait.
New York's quite small, but there's 8 million people there.
Yeah, that's true. There's not much. Should we look up how many people actually live in this place? Because what we can do. Yeah.
Did it not say? Wasn't it just 1 million? Around 1 million?
Is it 1 million?
Yeah.
That's good knowledge, Adia.
Well, it
Yeah.
said it in the article, not right.
She just
No,
knows.
The
Still didn't
capital
know
of
that.
Burma's population.
Population is 1 million. Well, that doesn't sound
quite a
ghost
lot.
towny to me.
But it's
God.
just,
It's just so big.
yeah.
Interesting.
You know, you talk about how there's not enough space for children to play in the city, and they have it.
They have tons. They can go and they walk around.
They have
being
to walk miles to
awkward.
find the next child.
Hide and seek could be amazing though.
Adia, you need to speak it.
No, but then I can't see. Can we go
I'll
back?
move a bit more over here, and then you can take up a more central position.
What if I move into the middle?
Yes, that's good.
Okay? So,
Yeah.
is everyone good?
Yes. So now we can talk about articles that Adi would like to talk about, because so far we've done the rat one, which I didn't think you'd want to talk
Oh
about.
my god, yeah, I was like, when I thought, I was like, seriously? Do we have to talk about rats all the time?
But
Yeah, we
it's, we do because we had a rat.
We had a
problem
scare last
thing.
night.
Really?
I saw one in my room.
Mars
A
thought he was
rat?
going to
I
get
thought a
eaten.
mouse, a
They're a
rat.
mouse.
Well, I don't know.
You
I
use the
couldn't
terms
reach out.
interchangeably, but they're definitely
Yes.
mice.
It was something. And,
Yeah.
Oh, I heard it like moving around, and it was just too much for me. I was just like, ugh.
Did you, like,
He screamed.
have you used the traps? Did they work?
No.
The traps that you gave us
Yeah.
have been
They're
utterly
rubbish.
useless.
Yeah, they didn't work for us either, but I thought I'd do my bit. You know.
Well, we've dealt with the ant infestation now.
Yes.
So that's the update on our pest
Yeah.
problems, which we know everyone's really eager to hear
Everyone
about.
wants to hear about that over breakfast. Well,
Yeah.
if you're eating breakfast at half 10.
I'm glad I'm not.
So we can talk about. I want to talk about the Finland story.
Yeah, go for it.
that's interesting.
I thought that was quite cool. So, I think this is probably reductive, but apparently they have just scrapped subjects and replaced them with topics. I don't know what the meaningful difference is between them.
So does that mean that you so with a topic you can approach it from different subject angles?
So I don't know
one,
whether it was
like-
this article or a different one where I read it in, but I think their idea is that a lot of children in school ask, what's the point in doing this? Why are we doing this? And then basically what they're doing is giving them the point of what they're doing this, like how it's relevant in the world, and then teaching things like branching out from the topic.
Oh yeah, so you can study vocational courses, like you can take cafeteria services lessons, which would include elements of maths, languages, writing skills and communication skills.
Just
That's
not
quite
specific.
interesting.
Yeah. But also, I just think where do they start this system from? Because you do kind of need like basic, don't you?
Yeah, well, I don't think cafeteria service would be appropriate for tiny
Like
children.
primary school.
But I feel like they start school a little bit later in Finland.
Really?
Yeah, than we do. But it seems to work for them.
So do you know how far along this system they are? Like, do you think it's going to happen?
It probably will. Like, I don't know how far along it is, but well, early data. So they have some data. 2 years since the new teaching methods first began being introduced.
That's quite a long time.
So they have outcomes, and apparently these outcomes, which they're saying is an outcome is kind of a euphemism for results or standards, and they're saying that they've improved. So they're already saying that they're working.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so the schools have to introduce a period of phenomenon-based teaching at least once a year. So it's not all, it's like projects.
Okay. So they're projects
See,
that
that
last
makes real
several
sense.
weeks.
I think that's interesting. I seem to remember that in Finland, you have to be a teacher, you have to have a master's degree
Really?
before becoming a teacher, like any master's degree. And it's a very prestigious occupation.
Well, Finland is
It's very
like...
important.
Finland has one of the best... It gets some of the best outcomes
Yeah.
educationally in the world, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
in Europe.
It's
gotta
on a
be one
similar
of the
level
top
to not North Korea, definitely not South Korea, but the methods in each country are just vastly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the thing that got me about it was, because I was thinking, would this kind of thing work? Could it be applied to a bigger country? Or is it because Finland has a population of about 5 million?
That's cool. I like that example of a lesson where you say, oh, today it's sunny in Finland and foggy in Denmark, and like use the map of the world, and then you basically combine that with learning English and geography. I think that's like, it is,
That's good.
yeah.
But the thing
Makes it
is...
interesting, like mixing everything together.
Yeah. Depends at what level you're doing that, though.
Yeah. I just think like, you know,
You're saying to like a 16-year-old kid, and this is English.
yeah. Yeah. But I just mean like in terms of variety of a lesson, you know, when you like at school when you do the same topic again and again, it's just like it does get boring. This kind of mixes it up.
Yeah. I think having projects during the year is a nice thing. I don't know. Like in primary school, we did continual projects. We had like an hour, a couple of hours a week of doing this project.
And then the Finns came in and
did either
adopted
of you,
your sister.
Yeah. Did either of you do micro society?
A micro society.
Yeah.
No.
At primary school, I can't remember what year it was. Probably like 5 or 6. We had a micro society in the class, and we had like made our. We were like a country, and we had to make up our flag and currency and things, and then we each got some money, and then we had to make things and sell things and to other people in the class, and like it was.
That's quite cool.
It was really cool, actually.
Made you who you are today.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's quite
and
cool.
It's like shopping.
The stuff that we did was we would have days of like that were themed around I seem to remember they were themed around sort of like ancient civilizations. Like one day we had a Roman day, and we all had to dress up as Romans,
Yeah.
and we got given a few little coins, some pecunia, as I seem to remember them being called, or whatever it is, and yeah, and we just walk around with like laurel leaves and all this other stuff. Oh, and we got drilled on the playground. That's phrasing.
So what?
No, but like we were told to stand in lines, and then the Latin teacher would be like,
Okay.
oh god, this is so creepy now.
Go on.
But it's just the way I said it initially. But yeah, the Latin teacher would give us instructions in Latin about which way to turn and
you'd be all in
to
your
march
togas,
and all this stuff. Yeah, and we were all in our togas.
tripping over,
Yeah.
marching.
And marching and stuff like that.
How old are you?
I would have been under 10 years old, at 8, 9, 10 sort of
That's
time.
quite cute though.
We also had an Egyptian one. I think we had a fancy dress day as
Yeah.
well. I used to love them. They were
Fancy
wicked.
dress is the best. We should do that at uni more often.
Yeah.
More often, yeah.
Yeah, like once. Yeah.
Did you have a school day that did anything, Addy, like that, where you...
Like fancy dress.
No, just not necessarily. Just something interesting, different. No,
No, like
no, nothing.
school was a long period of time. It's like hard to pick out one thing. Like, I did love school. It's very fun.
Well, yeah, the thing that interested me about this is, so this is such a small country. Can it be scaled up, this system? Because the Scandinavian countries do a lot of things where they do seem to work really well, but would it work on like a massive scale?
Yeah.
So things like, I know that in one of the Scandinavian countries, I think it's Norway, they have a prison that is just an island that's so remote that if they tried to get off it, they'd just die.
Yeah.
Like, they'd be screwed. But they are actually just free to walk around on this island, and they all get given little jobs, kind of like school. And they do these little jobs. So like one of them will be like the carpenter on the island or something like that. And yeah, apparently it's like a really effective way of rehabilitating people. But could that system be transferred to like a bigger country or a country with a different culture, or
Well,
things like that?
I think that in terms of education, I don't see why it couldn't work on a larger scale. Do you?
I think the only thing that I can imagine people having a problem with is just like, well, a change with anything, like
Yeah.
changing what they used to and changing what
Yeah.
they know.
Well, yeah.
Like from a parent's perspective, I guess like they would like to help their kids with something that they are, educated in, and maybe they might feel a bit daunted if they're doing something that they don't really
Yeah.
get.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, everyone hates change pretty
Yeah.
much. Don't they? But yeah, because I was thinking about it in terms of like roles, and there's that old saying, or like, not a saying really, but like there's this scientific study done that said like the optimum number of people in a community is about 150, because at that point everyone has a clearly defined role, and everyone knows their stuff. And then like I was thinking about that in relation to, there was this experiment done called Rat City. Again, we're on rats, but basically
Yeah.
they
Why are
started
we the
out with,
owl satire show, aren't we?
I don't know,
Ew, can you imagine the rat satire
the
show?
rat satire show.
People would love it.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, so they had this scientist built this place called Rat City, and it's like the perfect environment for rats to live in. And he introduced like 10 or 20 or something initially. The population then expanded to about 200, and this city had a capacity of like 300.
Yeah.
And what he found was the population growth was staggering. It was like huge. It was like ridiculous. But then what happened when the population got to a certain amount, even though the city could accommodate a lot more, about 100 more, it got to about 200 and something. But what happened was like certain rats started to, basically they lost sight of what their role was. So you'd get angry males who couldn't find a mate, like violence increased and they were attacking each other.
Yeah.
Some would isolate themselves. there were some rats he called the beautiful ones who would just sit in the top shelves of the city and they would just groom incessantly, but they would never have sex or do any of that stuff. They would never enact.
Just be like an object of desire.
Yeah. And it was really weird. He was just like, these rats would just groom themselves. And basically the whole thing was... And then the population just collapsed because the rats just stopped reproducing. So... But what he's... The conclusion of...
No more rats.
But yeah, the conclusion of this experiment was that when these animals in particular, but I think there's a humans it could apply to as well, kind of strand to this, is that when society is overpopulated, people start to lose sight of what they're, or feel as though they don't have a role. That's what happened to the rats, he's saying.
Yeah.
And then that caused, the results of that for the rats was sporadic violence, like literally egoism, or not egoism, but what was the word? Narcissism and stuff like that. Basically like a series of really adverse effects. So that combined with like, oh, there's 150 people in a community that can have like a defined role or whatever. And then, you've got Finland, which is a place of like 5 million people.
Yeah.
When we're dealing with countries like ours, which has 60, nearly 70, is there a risk that we're too big, and if we have violence and social problems, which we do, like to what extent are they down to things like where just, people just don't know what to do with themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know, and then and does that have an impact on whether we can implement solutions like the Finns have with their education and stuff like that? I'm wondering.
Oh, I just don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
But I still think that in terms of education, it's...
Yes, you could, right? But
I don't know.
we have there's such a huge amount of people going to school.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it depends how, because it's whether you want to treat the entire education system of the country as a whole, or whether it should be smaller. I don't know.
I think also it'd be interesting to see what private schools do, because obviously they don't have to follow whatever is implemented. So it'd be interesting to see where they stick to tradition or go with the change.
Where? In
England.
In England. But
we're
not really going with any change.
But I don't know, I was just saying if it were to be brought in here.
At my school, what they were fairly progressive at my school, weirdly.
Yeah.
Even though it's like really old, they did some stuff that we didn't find very popular. Like they switched to pre-U. Our year was the second year at the school to do pre-U, and everyone hated it.
A-levels.
It's like a substitute of A-levels, but it's just really hard.
Is that the
And it meant
thing
that-
that's associated to Cambridge?
Yeah, Cambridge are the people who I think administer it or something.
Yeah.
It's like their qualification and it's an
Yeah.
alternative to
Yeah,
A-level.
yeah.
But everyone was like, blech, I don't want that.
Mm.
Just give us regular A-levels because they're easier and people will get better results
And get into uni.
and get into uni properly.
Yeah.
And they've also introduced IB, which is kind of a progressive measure relative to just sticking with A-level.
Yeah.
So I think private schools definitely do try and like innovate a bit, and maybe this will appeal to them. So I don't think they're as traditional as, and also like because they're private, they're not in conjunction. I don't think there's like a conglomerate of schools, is there? There's not like a range of private schools.
I have no idea.
I
have
definitely
no
did not
experience.
know what that word was either. I was like,
What,
oh,
conglomeration?
A what?
Conglomeration.
You know, like
Yeah.
so like different companies that are owned by the same people. So like PepsiCo, who we've just been talking about, own Pepsi and they own Mountain Dew.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, because Mountain Dew kills them.
yes.
I loved that. Actually, I was like, yes.
Oh, we thought you wouldn't like that.
No, are you kidding?
Well, we thought you wouldn't like the image of the gel-like mouse remains.
Oh, well, we've also solved our own problem with mice.
What, we just
Leave
laid
Mountain
traps
Dew
of-
everywhere.
Exactly, just like.
It's kind of like
Have a
Breaking
water
Bad
fight
where
with
they
Mountain
dissolve.
Dew.
where they
Yeah.
dissolve the body in the bath.
Yeah, spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh, it's very early. spoilers.
Although, That might not be great for the ant issue if you have like a sugary drink.
We have.
They will dissolve even quicker.
Yeah.
I think, in Mountain Dew.
There's so much ant powder. They've got no chance.
So we've napalmed them pretty
Yeah.
good. So what are we talking about again? Education.
Private schools, conglomerations.
Yes.
Are there conglomerations of private schools?
My answer
possibly
is
not.
broadly no. I don't think mine was, but I think that gives the school the ability to be really super flexible because they don't have anyone else to
Yeah.
answer to. They don't have to worry about being in line with everyone else, and I think that that's something that will block, or not block, but
Well,
kind
a
of
lot of,
prevent change on like
a
on
lot
for normal
of-
schools or
No.
Yeah.
No.
well normal schools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
What were you saying?
I'm not
State
being
schools.
like-
State schools.
Yes, state schools.
A lot, like for example, when at my state school,
Boom.
they
Joking.
they turned it into an academy when I was in. I can't remember. Hey guys, I'm trying to tell you something about my lowly state school. They changed it into an academy not long before I left, which means that the local authority doesn't control it as much.
So
And
they
so
make
they have more freedom over what they do.
Okay.
And I think a lot of schools have started to move in that direction to become academies. Yeah.
So you think that?
I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Everyone hated it when it was happening. We're like, oh, I don't want to be at an academy.
What's the
Why?
difference?
I don't really know. Like, I didn't really. There wasn't any noticeable difference to me, but it only happened a year before I left.
I've heard it's all part of this privatization of public stuff. Again, you know
Yeah.
how like because we might, if we have time, we'll talk about we might talk about how so basically it got leaked recently that they were selling off or they were privatizing the Staffordshire Hospital or something like that, or some of its services. And so like I've heard that academies are part of selling off national assets.
Yeah. Well, it means
So
the school has
yeah.
more money to do with what it wants. And there was a scandal, and after I left, the head teacher was fired, and there were rumours going around that she'd bought a snow plough to clear like the car park area of snow when all those times that we have snow days.
She brought a snow
And we don't know whether it's true or not, but I have quite recently heard that it actually was true. She did it, but that wasn't the only reason. She was also, because it was a selective school, she was also selling places to people, like
That's
accepting
worse.
bribes, which is worse. But the
Snowplow
snowplow thing was also true.
Snowplow's goofy and quite bad, but the selling of
Yeah,
places is
it's
probably
bad, isn't it?
has a moral sort of element
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, of all the things to spend your corruption money on, a snowplow.
Yeah, I think that was just weird. Like, because even if you could move across the car park, that wouldn't they wouldn't be able to snowplow the routes to everyone's houses. Like,
No,
it was just pointless.
it was pointless. But
It's quite
a
amusing.
fun thing.
Yeah, there you go.
A fun thing to talk for someone to spend public money on.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
I was thinking we could talk about the French Academy Française stuff
Oh yeah.
and like, yeah.
This is something that gets my goat, but have your say
Yeah.
on.
You have the floor.
Me?
I did. Yeah.
Go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say what it's saying, that obviously they are quite keen on preserving their language in France and like its quality and its status in the country. But basically the culture secretary is kind of for dropping the barriers against other languages. Which is quite controversial, well, in France anyway. Like, I just thought that was interesting, because obviously they love French.
Yeah, we always talk about the Académie Française, don't we? In
French
classes, about
Yeah.
how stupid it is. You're not allowed to say le weekend.
The weekend. What is it called? Le fin de.
Le fin de semaine, but no one says that.
No, I actually asked about that not that long ago, and yeah, just no one would use it.
Yeah, everyone
Like
says
it makes
the
sense.
weekend.
People would kind of, it's the concept, like it's the end of the week, but
Yeah.
it just would sound ridiculous.
I just find it like it's so many different. It's so futile. It's so childish. It's so
See, it was founded.
like narcissistic.
It was founded in 1635 by Cardinal Richelieu, who was not a great guy, if I remember.
If I
correctly.
remember reading the Three Musketeers.
And it was tasked with, one amongst other things, fixing the use of French. That's the thing, because French is only what it is today because it's changed so much. You can't see. I used to like proper grammar, but I did realise that things just change, and
Yes.
you can't. That's why we don't still speak Old
Like
English.
Shakespearean English.
But it's also led to the tragic loss of the word Windleshaws.
Oh,
from
don't
our-
even remind me.
I was there when Windleshaws. stopped being said.
Quickly explain what.
Basically, we were at the British Library exhibition about the Magna Carta, and when you look on old maps from like the 12th or 13th century, Windsor used to be called Windleshaws, which is
Wait, Windsor as in
Windsor
the
Castle. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's now called. It used to be called Windleshaws, which is such a better name, and it's so nice. It's so nice to say.
You just can't sing the same.
I think I'm gonna name my. I think if I ever can afford my own house, I'll call it Windleshaws.
Oh, that's nice.
Or maybe my first son or daughter.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
not.
or daughter. Windleshaw's Beckwith.
Maybe stick it keep it to the house.
Yeah, I think that.
Just-
When
I
you
was
build
joking
your
about
own
it.
model
Okay.
village for your workers,
Yeah.
you can call it Windleshaw's.
The dictatorship.
Yeah.
What was
Very
I gonna
good.
say? Yeah, this is kind of related to something that I did in one of my modules earlier about how important is language for the identity of a country, and actually it's just a construct that people like to keep their language, but there are so many other things that make up the identity of a country, like the history and
Food.
Yeah.
food.
I know.
So
It's
French.
like the people have said. There's this theory that the imposing one language and rejecting regional ones is an attempt by the state to force national identity on people and things like that. That's what, because Noam Chomsky, who gets a mention quite often.
Best mate.
He's a busy mate. He is so anti having a national language. He's all about regional stuff. Like he's all about devolving everything to the regional level.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's the state and it's tyrannical to have like one language and stuff like that. I don't know. From a pragmatic view, I'm like, well, if everyone could just speak one language, would be great.
Yeah.
Because then you wouldn't
They do have that. They have considered the system. I can't remember what the European organisation was called, but
Are you talking about Esperanto? Because Esperanto is
No, I don't think
an
it was
artificial
that.
language.
Yeah, it was like a multilingual regime. So you have, in a country, you would have the language, like the one that is symbolising the identity.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the one that you use, which they call a vehicular language, which is basically, so for example, in Europe it tend to be English,
Yeah.
where you use it for business and for the trade of the country and for the more.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting because then you do kind of get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I think that's probably good. I just see it from like a pragmatic view, and I think Noam Chomsky's talking about like how when a language dies, the whole culture's gone and all that stuff, and I think you can retain. I don't know, or at least cultural churn is what he's talking about, and that's not like a bad thing. Like we've had so many cultures come and go like over the millennia.
was just gonna say
like
culture is something
the idea of losing
also-
some or
Yeah. I was also just thinking, like, as well as language, culture is also something that's always evolving as well,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you know, it's just implying that you want to keep it the same.
yeah, exactly. That was the thing, and that's where I disagree with him on that.
Mm.
You hear me, Chomsky?
Ooh.
I'm calling you
Oh.
out.
He's never gonna hear this.
I do like some of the examples of like of the words that the academics try to make up instead, or try to make catch on.
Like what?
For example, instead of hashtag, they just try, like obviously everyone's gonna say hashtag. Mot dièse.
Where's this?
This here. Or podcasting, they tried to translate it as broadcast for Walkman
Diffusion pour baladeur. That's.
instead of podcasting.
Oh my god.
So
How out of touch. Oh, hang on. Oh, this was in 2006 when I guess there were a few people
some people
still
had
using
Walkman.
Walkmans.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had one when I went to boarding school when I was like 12. I had a Walkman and I only had a few CDs for it.
Yeah,
I
I
had
only had a few CDs.
Nickelback,
I had a tape.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. That
My
was
three were,
oh,
I
Maroon
think-
5 as
I
well.
had Rachel Stevens, S Club Juniors, and S Club 7, so very S Club
Oh,
very
orientated.
S-Club.
Yeah.
That's surprising. I only had a cassette tape one at some point, and then I got my first iPod in 2004. My grandmother bought it for me from America. It was
Aw.
incredible. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I got mine like not much later because I was definitely in senior school, and then it was really sad because guess what my first songs were?
S Club.
No, even worse potentially, like Pussycat Dolls, and also their version, because it's Christmas time, their version of Santa Baby. So
no.
like,
Whoa.
Oh no.
those are the first three that I used to like. You know, look at me with my iPod. Listen to
Wow.
these really cool
No.
songs.
I remember the first one I got was the little blue, the blue, like not mini one, or maybe it was.
I had a
Oh,
blue
it's
mini
a
one.
shuffle, like a square.
No, it wasn't a shuffle. It was like a
nano one.
rectangle.
Oh.
Rectangle.
Might have been an iPod Nano.
Colour.
Yeah, it was cut.
Mini, they
might
were
have
the.
been-
Like,
coloured
they were quite
ones.
chunky. The mini ones.
It wasn't that one. It was like
Small
find
one.
it. Well, there's no point.
There's
But,
no point.
but yeah, I remember having that, and I had to get my uncle's songs off his computer, and he had a collection of about 5,000,
Mm.
and I remember I liked 73 of them.
Was
So,
it
well, you
exactly
couldn't fit that much
73?
more on the iPod.
Really?
Yeah, I still remember because
Oh.
because I didn't have my own computer or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I'd have to get and I was also at boarding school. I would spend months on end with only those songs to listen to, and when you put it on shuffle or whatever, it says one of 73 or whatever, and 73 was always the number. So
Yeah,
I just
so-
knew from that was my starting collection.
That was your
Yeah.
soundtrack to school.
Yes.
I
a little
had MP3 player just before
Yep.
my iPod, but it had you could not hold many songs, like 20 songs or something.
Oh, man.
And I took it to the US for a month's holiday and just listened to the same 20 songs
Jesus.
over and over and over and over again. I do remember Keane's first album was on that, so it's forever associated with that.
So you had Keane's first album and then like what?
I
8
can't.
other
I really
songs?
can't remember what else, but yeah, basically.
Jesus.
But at the time, it was amazing. Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
my.
it's funny how you like definitely appreciated all these tiny things that now seem so insignificant.
Yeah, like you can't imagine when you look at the scale of how quickly
The progression.
Yeah.
technology's evolved. We went
Yeah.
from like cassettes to CDs to MP3s to now you don't have music at all.
Yeah.
You stream it from like a site like Spotify.
Yeah. Do
and
you remember?
It's just crazy.
I don't know what they were called, but you used to get a little. It was like a mini radio, so like I think it was potentially on a keyring, and you could play one song from it.
There used to be like free gifts like that from McDonald's
like a
or
random
something.
song that was popular at the
Yeah.
time. And yeah,
No
all you
idea.
could play on this thing was
Yeah.
the one song, but it was so exciting. It's like,
You said
oh,
it was
look
a-
at me with this
A
gadget.
gift from McDonald's.
I just saw people with them because I was never allowed to go to McDonald's. I went to McDonald's first when I was 13.
I'm not sure. Like, I think you could get it in other places as well. I think it was just a
Yeah,
toy
but they were
that
like,
was,
normally
going
free
round.
things. Right,
Yeah.
well, we've got to wrap it up now.
We
'cause
do
we're at
have
the
to
end.
wrap it up.
Addie's got to run off to a lesson.
Oh yeah.
Are you- are you
choosing a song?
Yeah, do you have an idea?
Uh,
We never prepare songs, do we?
Mm.
I mean, we do.
Ballads.
We
can
prepared
you
the
think
first
of
song.
like a spring-related one?
Can you?
Not really.
A spring-related song.
It's kind of difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more like
Uh,
a nursery rhyme.
We could go for this. What's that one with?
I was suggesting Ariana Grande.
Is the song Fool's Daydream or the?
Oh, hang on. Let's go for. I don't know. This reminds me of.
Oh yeah,
summer.
that's good.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Cool. Well, until next time, don't forget to catch up on any shows you've missed on Owl Player.
Okay, Owl Player, yeah.
And the links are all on our Facebook page.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got up to 7, but after I'm going to put up.
This
8
is show
and
9, isn't it?
This is
Yeah.
show 9. So,
Awesome.
yes. Cool. Well, see you.
Until next time.
See ya, owlets.
Adios.
Bye. Golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down. With my mind she runs throughout the night. No need to fight, never a frown with golden brown. Every time, just like the last, on her ship, tied to the mast. To distant lands, takes both my hands, never a frown with golden brown. Golden brown, fine a temptress. Through the ages she's heading west. From far away